Throughout the history of Identity V, the Persona web changed. Today we will talk about some deleted Persona traits that I believe should come back to the game. So let's get into it. To start, we have the first Persona trait, which is Disturbance. This Persona trait increases the crouching speed by 40%, which essentially made that you move at the speed of 0.57 meters per second. If you wonder, this is the Persona trait that used to be behind her work, which reduced the footprint duration. So why should this trait come back? I believe it is better than the current Persona trait it was replaced by. The fact it was making a stealth-based branch was kind of an interesting part from the Persona web. Like, if you wanted to play more stealthy, you could specialize in it a bit more, which honestly is kind of fun. But now, Survivor Instinct, which is the one who replaced it, is kind of blank compared to it, and also useless. Like, if you get a 5% decoding buff after one teammate dies, then you're already at a tie situation, and I believe 5% decoding buff won't help at that. You don't really care about getting a 15 decoding debuff by losing 2 teammates, because at that point you might as well just search for the dungeon. Or at least you can try to pop all ciphers, but a 15% decoding buffs will change nothing. Like, the only situation where it could be useful is that if there's only 4 ciphers left and you have to pop one, it might be useful to have that 30% decoding buff, but you're exposing yourself because the hunter will know where you are. Not only though they have tinnitus, which is something that became base kit, they also have the ability, or not even ability, they can see if your cipher is shaking. So if you're decoding a cipher, they will know you're there. And if you try to move away, they will know you're nearby. So you will be trapped in a place that may not have any dungeon after you pop that cipher. So not only was the previous threat more fun, but it is less situational. While walking is still faster, being able to sneak away faster will be more viable with a threat like this. Regardless, I still like this concept of being stronger if a teammate dies. But maybe it could be somewhere else, like it could replace Make It, which is the most useless threat in the game because there are no calibrations built in this game, unlike Dead by Daylight, so you don't really need a calibration Persona trait to help you hit these calibrations. The next Persona trait is Restraint. It reduces your fear radius by 15%, making your fear radius decrease from 32 meters to 27.8 meters. I can see people thinking this is simply useless and stuff because it doesn't make you stealthy. But that will not be thinking the right way, because you might not be able to play stealthy, but you can chase Survivor with a distance advantage, which is not negligible. Honestly, it's kind of a shame it was removed, because it really helped some hunters who lacked chase abilities to be able to chase better by having a distance advantage. Also, it could combo very well with the Persona trait Street Sweeper, because since your fear radius was reduced, then having the ability to see survivors that are healing by 32 meters makes you able to snipe them if you have the right ability. Raven Flock. This trait will make so when your crow is triggered, you will get a notification. On paper, this might not look good because you rely on crows, but no, on some maps there's a lot of condensed crow, which survivors can trigger quite often, and it will give you info. In case you camp, you might see where the rescuer come from, and if you're looking for the last survivor and they want to head to dungeon, you might be able to track them better before they can reach the dungeon. I can see why they removed it. It could be very strong because you can constantly see where everyone are based on if they triggered a crow. And also, if you're camping, you can see where the rescuer is coming from and you can intercept them, which is kind of strong. Still, I believe it is a good concept that should be kept. What is Eye for Eye? It is basically a personal trait that highlights the survivor who pallet stun you for 6 seconds. I don't see why this was deleted, because maybe it rewards the hunter for blindly going through pallets. I don't really know, but I feel like this will pair very well with ranged hunters. But possibly also diversify a bit in terms of playstyle, because yes, as of right now, the personal web is very boring and many of the personal traits are mostly underused or just blank. Like you will never have a good use or very rarely, but the thing is that it doesn't sensitize you to play a bit differently. So just like the previous threats, I believe this is something that should come back. Kite and Mouse is a personal trait that activates when chasing a survivor for 12 seconds. And after these 12 seconds, you will decrease your next vault by 20%. It was removed due to stunners disabling this trait quite often. But I kind of disagree that they just remove it. They could have just tweaked it. And that's the problem with the personal web currently. In this game, you can't have the personal web be used to kind of cover your weaknesses. You either play a strong hunters who can do everything and cannot be, well, fixed because they're already perfect, kind of perfect, and the personal web will just be a great addition on top of them. But the weaker hunter who lacks some things in some areas, like maybe map pressure, the personal web quite don't help at all. For chase, it's barely, but for other niche things, they are great because they're just additions on top of some already good hunters. Anyways, we're finishing with the last, I believe should be added back, is Spectator. Many people never use this, but personally I did. While not as powerful as the others, for me it was quite fun to use, and of course, something that people did not understand I believe is that it's very biased toward one type of survivor, mostly harassers or healers, so basically two. While not as strong as the other ultimate personal traits, I believe it's still way more fun and balanced than what we have right now, which is Flywheel. Which is something the game needs to remove because it's so broken, it's changed the game. You can argue that Flywheel is good at support, but it is also good at kiting and rescuing. So it's something that doesn't really fill that spot of a support final personal trait. So that basically explains why I want Spectator to come back, and stronger, of course. I kind of slandered the personal web, but it's just true that it's kind of boring and blank compared to the one we had before. Even though it's kind of niche things, it's way better than the just try hard and mostly useless threats that only works on the stronger hunters, or the way they work only sensitize you to play a certain playstyle. Anyways, goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one.